My parents canceled my birthdays for years, then played victim when they found out I got married. Hi, I'm Tyler, 30, and this is the story of how my family forgot I existed, until the day I went viral for getting married on a beach they weren't invited to. I grew up in northern Indiana, the forgotten older brother in a house where the sun rose and set on my little brother, Austin. He was 2 years younger and a baseball prodigy, at least according to our parents. You know the type: batting lessons by age 6, private pitching coach by 9, recruiters sniffing around by 13. Meanwhile, I was the quiet kid with straight A's and a talent for math. But in our house, math didn't sell hot dogs at the ballpark. I used to joke that my childhood smelled like sunscreen, hot metal bleachers, and crushed dreams. Austin's dreams, technically, but mine got flattened too, just under the weight of his highlight reel. The thing that always stuck with me, though, was the birthdays. See, I was born on July 9th. Unfortunately for me, that falls right in the sweet spot of travel tournament hell season. Every summer, every year, without fail, my birthday was postponed, which was code for canceled and never mentioned again. They didn't even try to lie well. One year, when I turned 12, I asked if we could do something small, just pizza with my cousins. My mom blinked like I had spoken in Morse code and said, "We leave for Cooperstown at 6 a.m. Maybe next week?" There was no next week. There was never a next week. By the time I hit high school, I had stopped asking. I figured if my birthday didn't matter by the time I was legally allowed to drive, it never would. I still remember my 16th. I'd made the mistake of believing them when they said we'd have a family dinner. I wore a decent shirt. I even made a playlist. But I came home to a note on the fridge, "Gone to Austin's qualifier in Louisville. Back Sunday. Love you." That was the night I ate a microwave burrito alone while watching reruns of Scrubs. I didn't cry. I just started saving money for college. By 17, I had a plan. I wasn't going to win attention. I was going to earn freedom. I got a job bagging groceries. I studied like my life depended on it. I applied for scholarships like they were golden tickets, because for me, they were. College wasn't just education, it was escape. Senior year, I got accepted to Purdue with a full ride. My parents barely reacted. They were too busy mapping out Austin's fall showcase schedule. They said, "That's great, bud," and then asked if I could dog sit while they were in Georgia for a tournament. I didn't even argue. I just circled my move-in date on the calendar and walked myself out of that house one August morning without fanfare required. College was paradise. Not because it was easy, it wasn't, but because for the first time in my life, no one asked me to disappear so someone else could shine. I majored in finance, graduated magna cum laude, and got recruited straight out of undergrad by a firm in Raleigh. Bought my own car, my own furniture, paid for everything in my name with my money. Meanwhile, Austin's career flamed out in spectacular slow motion. A torn rotator cuff, a subpar batting average. He bounced from one community college to another, eventually landing back at home, working part-time at a Dick's Sporting Goods, still posting grainy throwback clips from high school ball like they were ESPN-worthy. My parents never stopped cheering, though. He could have gotten arrested and they'd still drive him to court in matching hoodies with his name on the back. I stopped going home for holidays. Slowly, intentionally, I became a ghost. Nobody noticed. Not when I missed Christmas. Not when I missed Thanksgiving 3 years in a row. Not when I didn't show up to Austin's big birthday dinner when he turned 25. You know, the one they rented a restaurant for? They didn't even ask. And that's when it hit me. I didn't leave my family. I just finally believed them when they showed me I wasn't part of it. Then I met Nadia. She was a trauma nurse with a wicked sense of humor and a zero-tolerance policy for emotional nonsense. We met at a mutual friend's game night where she beat me at code names and then called me finance boy for the next 6 weeks. I told her the whole story on our third date. Every Snickers bar birthday, every empty living room when I won a school award, every time I asked for 5 minutes of recognition and got silence instead. She didn't say much at first, just listened, eyes steady. Then she leaned across the table and said, "Tyler, they didn't forget you. They just didn't see you." And that's worse. I think I fell in love with her right there. Fast forward 2.5 years. I proposed on the Overlook where we had our first hike together. Just the two of us, a ring box I was terrified of dropping off a cliff in the sunset. She said yes before I could finish asking. When it came time to plan the wedding, she didn't hesitate. "Do you want your family involved?" I took a long breath. I thought about giving the safe, polite answer. Then I said the real one. "No, I don't even want them to know it's happening." She didn't blink. "Then they won't." We planned a small destination wedding in Tulum, seaside ceremony, 35 guests, no one with my last name unless they were marrying into it. Nadia's family showed up in full force. Her dad teared up during the rehearsal dinner. Her mom helped her into her dress. Her little brother gave a toast that had everyone laughing and crying at once. And me? I stood barefoot in white linen, looking out at the ocean with people who actually chose to show up for me. People who loved me not out of duty, but by decision. That's when I knew something big had shifted. For once in my life, I was finally the main character. We got married under a driftwood arch at sunset, waves lapping behind us, tropical flowers strung like fireworks across the aisle. Nadia looked like she belonged to the sky, barefoot, radiant, her dress catching every breeze. I had to blink a few times just to believe she was real and standing there saying yes to me. No big spectacle, no stage performance. Just vows whispered over ocean wind and the kind of love you don't fake for pictures. My best friend Marcus stood beside me as best man. The same guy who drove 12 hours during a blizzard to help me move when my first landlord tried to evict me early. He was more family to me than anyone I shared DNA with. The reception was at a beachside villa. String lights, mojitos, live acoustic music, and zero forced small talk. Nadia's family danced like lunatics. Her dad sang along to Sweet Caroline, so off-key I thought the band might stop playing. Nobody judged him. Nobody shushed him. They just laughed and kept dancing. It was the happiest I'd ever been. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty about it. We didn't post anything right away. Just soaked in the moment, took Polaroids, held hands in hammocks, ate leftover cake at midnight in a bed full of sand and flower petals. It was perfect. But then, about a month later, we posted one photo. Just one. Me and Nadia on the beach, the tide kissing our ankles, her veil wrapped around both of us by the wind. The caption was simple, married my best friend in paradise. That's it. Nothing dramatic. But it caught fire anyway. Within a week, the post had gone viral. It got picked up by a travel wedding account, then a romance blog, then one of those viral true love compilation pages. Thousands of shares, hundreds of thousands of likes, and a flood of messages from strangers calling it dreamy and goals and storybook. And that's when the phone started ringing. It started with my cousin Amber. Hey, did you get married? Like for real? In Mexico? She sent me a link to a viral tweet with our photo. Caption, he cried when she walked down the beach. Over 300,000 likes. My face. Her veil. Our moment. Yup, I replied. We did. Amber replied. Holy crap. Does your mom know? Nope, I said. And I'd like to keep it that way. Spoiler, that plan lasted 36 hours. Next came the Facebook storm. Apparently, one of my mom's co-workers stumbled on the photo while doom scrolling and said something casual like, "Didn't you say your son was named Tyler?" Cue panic. Cue Facebook post from my mother, so long it required multiple read more clicks. She played every classic card. Heartbroken. Betrayed. We always did our best. Didn't deserve this. She made it sound like I'd eloped in secret just to punish them, like I'd burned a family heirloom or stolen Christmas. The comments, man. The comments. I'm so sorry, Sharon. Kids these days have no respect. He'll regret this when you're gone. Some women poison their men against their families. That last one really set Nadia off. She laughed so hard she snorted Prosecco. My dad chimed in too, with his usual tone-deaf authority. I didn't raise my son to act this way, which was ironic, because from what I recall, he didn't really raise me at all. Then came Austin. Oh, Austin. He reposted one of the viral wedding shots with his own bitter caption. Imagine finding out your only brother got married on Instagram. Family should come first. First? Like my 16th birthday party you forgot existed? Or every birthday after that? Like the time you got a $1,200 bat and I got a vending machine Snickers? I didn't reply, but I could feel the internet's attention shifting and fast. Because someone else did reply. Amber went nuclear. She posted a comment thread so savage, I had to reread it 3 times just to process the sheer audacity. Not only did she call my mom out for her crocodile tears, she attached screenshots. Real receipts. Dated. Time-stamped. With names. One of them? A text from my mom on my 15th birthday. Sorry, sweetheart. We'll have to celebrate later. Austin's got regionals in Toledo this weekend. We'll bring you something from the hotel gift shop. Another? My dad responding to my request to postpone a family trip by one day so I could attend a school award ceremony. Tyler, your brother's got a shot at a scholarship. Priorities, bud. But the one that really hit was a group text from when I was 16. Me. Can I stay with Aunt Margie this weekend for my birthday? I don't want to go to the tournament. Dad, you're part of this family. Start acting like it. Amber posted it all. Then she added her own commentary. You don't get to ignore a kid for 18 years and then act shocked when he stops inviting you into his life. That single sentence blew up, shared, retweeted, screenshotted, turned into a quote graphic by some self-care influencer. The tide turned hard. Strangers started combing through the Facebook pity party, asking real questions. Why did one son get $20,000 per year in travel baseball support, and the other got a vending machine candy bar for his birthday? If Tyler paid his own way through college, what happened to all the money spent on Austin's career? Why didn't anyone notice he hadn't come home in years? Even some of my mom's own friends started walking back their sympathy. One woman wrote, I remember Tyler sitting alone on the porch during Austin's party. Thought it was strange then. Makes sense now. It was like someone flipped the lights on in a room that had been dark for decades. And for once, I wasn't the one sitting in the shadows. My mom tried to clap back with another post. She called Amber misinformed and accused her of stirring up drama. Claimed the screenshots were taken out of context and that I was always too sensitive as a child. She said, "We always celebrated Tyler's birthdays in our own way." Amber replied with a photo of me at 12, sitting alone at a plastic table with a cupcake and a lit candle, clearly in the middle of a dingy motel lobby. The timestamp, July 9th. Underneath it, she wrote, "This was your own way?" The internet buried her. But the real plot twist came when my high school friend Devin jumped in. He remembered the infamous Sweet 16, the one they promised to throw, the one they forgot. He even posted a memory of me calling to cancel the party, voice cracking as I tried to explain why my parents suddenly had to go out of state. Another old classmate shared how I'd walked to school in January after my parents left town for Austin's tournament weekend and forgot to arrange a ride for me. "I remember thinking it was weird he didn't complain," she wrote. "Now I understand, he expected it." It became a slow avalanche of truth. Small stories, forgotten moments, people who remembered what I'd tried to forget. Each one chipped away at the carefully constructed martyrdom my parents had built online. They stopped posting soon after, but they didn't stop calling. I had 17 missed calls in 48 hours. Most from numbers I didn't recognize, relatives I hadn't spoken to in a decade suddenly desperate to play peacemaker. My dad left one voicemail. "This family gave you everything. You've really hurt your mother, Tyler. I hope you're proud of yourself." Everything. No, they gave Austin everything. They gave me leftovers and silence. And now, suddenly, they wanted a seat at the table I'd built without them. Too bad it was already full. 3 weeks after the dust had mostly settled online, I got a handwritten letter at my office. Not my home, my office. That meant my mother had looked me up, dug through public records, figured out where I worked, and sent the letter there. Total boundary demolition. It was 4 pages long. Floral stationery. Same swirling cursive she used on my kindergarten lunch notes, back when she still remembered I liked apples more than bananas. The letter started like an apology. Sort of, "I'm sorry if you ever felt unloved. That was never our intention. You were always so independent. We thought you didn't need as much from us as Austin did." You ever read something that's so perfectly wrong it makes your teeth itch? If you ever felt unloved. Not we neglected you. Not we prioritized one child for 2 decades and didn't think you'd notice. No, they thought I didn't need as much. As if emotional starvation is okay as long as the kid doesn't scream. The letter went on to talk about supporting Austin's dreams and how they did the best they could with the resources they had, which was laughable, because I saw those resources. I saw the $300 cleats, the batting cages, the $200 a night hotels for tournaments in towns I never got to see except from the back seat. Meanwhile, when I got accepted into the state honors program and asked if we could tour the campus together, my dad said, "You'll figure it out. You're a smart kid." Page 3 was full of guilt. My mom wrote that she cried for days when she saw the wedding photos, that she dreamed of helping me pick out a tux, of lighting a candle at the ceremony, of being there when I said, "I do." She called it a loss I'll carry for the rest of my life. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then she wrote, "We gave you everything. A roof, an education, vacations, stability. You act like we were monsters, but we were just doing the best we could." There it was again, that same haunting phrase, everything. And I sat there in my office, holding her 4 pages of gaslight and grief, thinking about how every time I won an award, I'd look to the bleachers and see empty seats. How when I got my driver's license, there wasn't a single celebratory dinner. How the one time I cried in front of them, actually cried, my mom said, "Don't make this about you." I put the letter back in the envelope. Then I dropped it in the shredder, not out of spite, but because I finally understood what it was, a last-ditch attempt to rewrite the past. That weekend, Olivia and I went to visit her parents in Virginia. Her dad had just retired from his law firm, and her mom made her famous caramel apple pie. As we sat around the kitchen table, laughing about some awkward wedding photos Olivia's cousin had finally emailed, her mom turned to me and said, "Tyler, you know you're part of this family now, right? Fully. Forever." I didn't cry. Not then. Later that night, Olivia found me on the porch with our dog Hank asleep across my feet and tears silently running down my face. The good kind. The kind that drain out poison that's been stuck inside too long. I told her, they could never say it. Not once. But your parents just did. No strings. No guilt. Just love. She kissed my temple and said, "That's what family's supposed to feel like." I've kept that moment closer than any photo, any viral post, any trophy. It was the quietest, most powerful reminder I've ever had that walking away from the family I was born into wasn't a betrayal. It was survival. 6 months passed. I thought that would be the end of it. The storm had quieted, the internet moved on to new drama, and my parents finally seemed to accept that I wasn't going to pick up the phone or magically pretend the last 28 years hadn't happened. Until they tried showing up. It was a Thursday afternoon when my cousin Brielle called from my hometown. Hey, just a heads up. Your mom told my mom that she and your dad bought flights to Raleigh. This weekend. They're coming to see you. I blinked. What? They're calling it a reunion. Your mom says they're going to surprise you at your house. I sat there at my desk, a slow, cold flood working its way through my chest. My hands were already shaking before I hung up. I told them clearly, no contact, no visits, no ambushes. But of course, they didn't think the rules applied to them. I called Olivia. She answered on the first ring. They're flying here. She didn't even need to ask who they were. Tell me when, and I'll book us a weekend away. So we packed Hank into the car Friday afternoon and drove to Asheville. Rented a cozy Airbnb in the mountains. Ate barbecue. Watched old sitcoms in a cabin surrounded by pine trees. Laughed at Hank rolling in leaves. Not once did I check my phone. When we came back Sunday night, there was a note taped to our door. My mother's handwriting. I recognized the hearts over the eyes. We came all this way just to talk. We sat on your porch for 4 hours. I can't believe you would ignore us. Please call me. We love you. We just want our family back. There was also a small gift bag on the doorstep with a framed photo of me and Austin as kids. A copy of the same picture that had sat on the fireplace mantel my entire childhood. Except, I hadn't been in that house since college. I hadn't been in that photo since I was 11. That's what they wanted me to hold on to. A frozen image of a version of me they didn't even see when I was right in front of them. I threw the whole bag in the trash. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I made the mistake of answering. It was my dad. Tyler, he said, in that clipped, stern voice he always used when he was disappointed in someone but couldn't admit it was himself. This is ridiculous. We flew across the country, and you hid like a coward. I didn't say anything. Your mother cried the entire flight home. Are you happy now? I didn't ask you to come, I said. I asked you not to. You showed up uninvited to my home. We're your parents, he snapped. We don't need an invitation. Yes, I said, voice level. You do. That's exactly how this works now. He exhaled hard. I don't know what we did to make you hate us this much. And that was it. The sentence that clarified everything. I know you don't, I said. And that's the problem. I hung up, blocked the number, blocked the backup numbers, blocked the backup email to phone texts my mom started sending when she realized she was running out of ways in. And then, I moved on. I was promoted to Director of Financial Operations 3 months later. Big raise, corner office, new responsibilities. Nadia planned a surprise dinner with our closest friends and her parents. Marcus flew in. Brielle showed up with cupcakes. Olivia's dad gave a toast that left me speechless. He said, Tyler, you weren't born into this family, but you earned it. We are honored to call you ours. Later that night, Olivia's mom handed me a box wrapped in blue paper. Inside was a gorgeous silver watch. Classic. Understated. Timeless. We got this for your promotion, she said. But also just because you're you. Then she hugged me and whispered, we see you. And I swear to God, something inside me finally let go. The ache I'd carried for years. The one that whispered, maybe this is your fault. The one that said, if you'd just been louder, brighter, better, they would have loved you more. I realized right then, they didn't fail me because I was unworthy. They failed me because they were incapable. And I had finally stopped expecting broken people to give me whole things. Spring came. We bought a house, an old Craftsman with a wide porch and creaky floorboards that made the dog's tail thump like a drum when he ran to greet us. The backyard had a fire pit. The front yard had daffodils. The whole thing felt like a place people built stories in, not just survived them. Olivia and I started talking seriously about kids. Not someday talk. Now talk. She looked at me one night while folding laundry and said, you'd be a really good dad. And something in me shattered, then reformed. Because all I ever wanted growing up was a dad who showed up, who said, I'm proud of you, without it being conditional. And now I had the chance to be that person for someone else. The kind of parent who shows up with cake even when there's a tournament. Who notices. Who listens. Who loves on purpose. And I knew, without a flicker of doubt, I would never let my kid feel like they had to earn my love. A few months later, we were sitting on the porch, drinking coffee, watching Hank roll around in grass like an idiot, when Olivia's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Your brother just followed me on Instagram, she said. I didn't even look up. Did he message you? She nodded. He said he wants to meet. Said he's sorry for everything and hopes you'll give him a chance to explain. I sighed. Let me guess. Still living at home? Yup. Still working at the store. I took a sip of coffee. I think he misses the version of me that tolerated him. She didn't say anything. She just reached over and squeezed my hand. Because she knew the truth. My brother wasn't reaching out because he suddenly saw me. He was reaching out because the world finally did, and he didn't want to be left behind. But me? I wasn't looking back anymore, because my life wasn't happening around my family anymore. It was happening without them. And for the first time ever, it felt like mine. A year to the day after our wedding went viral, Olivia and I stood barefoot on the same beach in Tulum. Just us. No photographers. No guests. Just wind, waves, and a baby name we hadn't told anyone yet. She was pregnant. We'd found out 2 weeks earlier and kept it quiet, our little secret. I looked at her, hand resting on the small curve of her stomach, and said, "This kid will never wonder if they matter." She smiled. They'll know. Behind us. The past. The missed birthdays. The motel cupcakes. The silence. Ahead. A life we built ourselves. A family we chose to be. I never sent a final letter. Never responded to the voicemails. I didn't need a dramatic goodbye. I had something better. Peace. Sometimes people spend their whole lives waiting for the ones who hurt them to say sorry. I stopped waiting. I stopped waiting and started living. Not for approval. Not for permission. But for me. And now for us.